the birth of the Marine Corps, the beginnings of Sesame Street, the Great Blackout of 1965. Jim Ward is here, and that means only one thing.
This Week in History.
Well, hello. Welcome to another episode of the Middle Country Public Library podcast. I'm Sal DiVincenzo here in the studio with my history buff colleague, Jim Ward.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
And of course, if you're here, this is This Week in History,
Yes.
our special episodes that we run throughout the year from time to time. Certain episodes we found out that we run the same time every year.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we changed it up a little bit.
Changed it up a little bit. We kind of moved it around a little bit. So this will be for the week that you are, if you're watching when we premiere, the week of, what is it, November 9th
to 15th.
to the 15th.
Yep.
So if this is your first time joining us, welcome. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button, hit subscribe. We love that.
Yep.
This Week in History Jim is going to tell us what happened this week throughout history. And there's some pretty interesting things coming up.
We have a lot of interesting stuff.
We're going to kick it right off. Why don't you go, Jimmy?
Let's do it. So November 9th, 1965, 60 years ago, was the blackout, the Great Blackout of 1965.
Wow.
And this is one of the biggest power failures in history that occurred as all of New York State, portions of 7 nearby states, and parts of eastern Canada were plunged into darkness. Began at the height of rush hour, of course, when it's inconvenient, delaying millions of commuters, trapping 800,000 people in the subway, and stranding thousands more in office buildings, elevators, trains. 10,000 National Guardsmen and 5,000 off-duty policemen were called into service. And it was caused by the tripping of a 230 kilovolt transmission line near Ontario, Canada at 5:16 p.m., which then caused several other heavily loaded lines to also fail.
Yeah.
This precipitated the surge of power that overwhelmed the transmission lines in western New York, causing a cascading tripping of additional lines, resulting in the eventual breakup of the entire Northeast transmission network.
Yes. Now, what's nice is that we're starting this episode off with this thing that happened in history. You can see a more in-depth version of it on our latest History Bites that Jim does every so often, once a month, twice a month.
And you can hear my parents' story within that as well.
And you can hear the parents' story there. It's
they
pretty
were
interesting.
both, my mom was, I think, on a train 4
your mom
stops
was on a
from
train,
her.
And your father was...
He was in the subway.
And they had to evacuate, right?
Yeah, they had to hold the person in front of them because it was so dark. It was just one person with a flashlight.
It was the 60s. Yeah. Everybody was holding on.
There was no camera phone with a flashlight and all that stuff.
Exactly.
No. And then they had to climb out of the subway. So, some interesting stuff in there.
So you got to check out that episode, and we'll put it down in the description, so this way you can click right to it and watch it. So that was the Great Blackout. And we had our own blackout in our generation.
2003.
Yeah.
I remember I was working here in circulation, and all of a sudden, flicker, out.
Done.
It was crazy. So that was 1965.
1965.
Then November 9th, 2004, best-selling Millennium Trilogy author Stieg Larsson dies at 50 years old. He died suddenly of a heart attack only months after turning in the manuscripts for 3 crime thrillers, and you're going to know them. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo,
there you go.
The Girl Who Played with Fire, and The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest. Yes. And these would later become international bestsellers, known collectively as the Millennium Trilogy. The novels feature the characters Michael Blomquist, I believe I'm saying that right, a middle-aged journalist, and Lisbeth Salander, a young, pierced, and tattooed computer hacker with a troubled past. Yes. And Larson, who never lived to see his book's success, died without a will, setting off a protracted legal battle for the rights to his work.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So,
died young.
Yeah, and let me see if there's anything... Yeah, within months after delivering the manuscripts, Larson, who was a heavy smoker and junk food fanatic, he died of a massive heart attack after a broken elevator forced him to climb stairs to his office. So
that's terrible.
I guess this is kind of a wake-up call for those of us in our 40s and 50s to
exercise,
keep moving.
Eat right. And
definitely.
Right. Okay.
All right. November 10th, 1775, the birth of the U.S. Marine Corps.
Yeah.
During the American Revolution, the Continental Congress passed a resolution that, quote, 2 battalions of Marines be raised for service as landing forces for the recently formed Continental Navy. This revolution, drafted by future U.S. President John Adams and adopted in Philadelphia on November 10th, 1775, created the Continental Marines and is now observed as the birth date of the United States Marine Corps.
Very cool.
Yeah. And apparently it was disbanded in 1783 and then established formally within the U.S. Navy in May of 1798.
Okay.
So
still 1700s.
Yeah.
Still at the beginning here.
But they're looking at the very first Marines as
as the very first
1775.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. Happy birthday, Marines.
Happy birthday, and thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
And today there are more than 200,000 active duty and reserve Marines divided into 4 divisions stationed at Camp Lejeune in North Carolina, Camp Pendleton in California, what do we have? Camp Pendleton in California, New Orleans, Louisiana, and Okinawa, Japan. So I guess that's the different areas where they're stationed. So,
wow.
Yeah. I
have to assume if it's, what did you say, 200,000?
200,000, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Sounds like a lot in one station then.
Yeah, I guess so. But then they're spread out.
Spread out, yeah. Okay, very cool.
All right, November 10th, 1969, Sesame Street.
Sesame Street.
A pioneering TV show that would teach generations of young children the alphabet and how to count, makes its broadcast debut.
Yeah.
It had its memorable theme song, Can You Tell Me How to Get to Sesame Street?
Yeah.
It went on to become the most widely viewed children's program in the world and aired in more than 120 countries.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was the brainchild of Joan Gans Cooney, a former documentary producer for public television. Her goal was to create programming for preschoolers and create entertaining and educational programs. She also wanted to help the unprivileged 3 to 5 year olds prepare for kindergarten as well.
Yeah.
So and it took a cue from Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's
you know
a
what that
comedy
is?
show. Yeah.
Yeah, popular 1960s variety show, and it was built around short, often funny segments featuring puppets, animation, and live actors. And from the show's inception, one of its most loved aspects has been the family of puppets known as the Muppets.
Yes.
And she hired puppeteer Jim Henson, who everybody knows Jim Henson, to create a cast of characters that became Sesame Street institutions, including Bert and Ernie, Cookie Monster, Oscar the Grouch, Grover, and Big Bird.
Yeah.
And since its inception, over 80 million Americans have watched Sesame Street.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's... recently, it's lost its home.
Oh,
right, I think it was on HBO Max for a while, and I think now it's somewhere else.
Not on PBS anymore?
No, I don't think. Well, I think it's on PBS like after the fact, but there's some issues with that. As far as I know, it ended up somewhere else, but you could still see it for free.
Oh wow!
So
okay, that's good to
Sesame
know.
Street. Yeah,
I have to say I never fully was a Sesame Street watcher, but I enjoyed Christmas Eve on Sesame Street.
Okay.
So I watched like the movies and stuff like that. But for some reason, I don't know why. I never.
No. What was your kids show then? Did you have a kids show?
What was that one?
Was it, just...
Thundercats.
Oh,
I enjoyed Thundercats. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that taught you some things.
Yeah, it taught me.
Yeah.
Not very much.
Yeah.
But there were those 80s things.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, absolutely.
All right. So November 10th. We're moving on to November 10th, 1975.
I picked this one.
Yes. Sal told me about this.
I told you about this.
Yep. The SS Edmund Fitzgerald sinks in Lake Superior, killing all 29 crew members on board. It was the worst single accident in Lake Superior's history. The ship weighed more than 13,000 tons and was 730 feet long. It was launched in 1958 as the biggest carrier in the Great Lakes and became the first to carry more than 1 million tons of iron ore through the Sioux Locks. On November 9th, the Fitzgerald left Superior, Wisconsin, with 26,000 tons of ore heading for Detroit, Michigan. And the following afternoon, Ernest McSorley, the captain of the Fitzgerald and a 44-year-old veteran, contacted the Amityville, which was another ship traveling on Lake Superior, and reported that his ship had encountered one of the worst seas he'd ever seen. And the Fitzgerald had lost its radar and was listing badly to one side. A couple hours later, another ship made contact and was told that the Fitzgerald was holding its own. However, minutes afterward, the Fitzgerald disappeared from radar screens, and a subsequent investigation showed that the sinking of the Fitzgerald occurred very suddenly, and no distress signal was sent, and the condition of the lifeboats suggested that little or no attempt was made to abandon the ship. One possible reason for this is that the Fitzgerald might have been carrying too much cargo. This made the ship sit low in the water and made it more vulnerable to being overwhelmed by a sudden large wave. So the official report also cited the possibility that the hatches to the cargo area may have been faulty, leading to a sudden shift of cargo that capsized the boat. That's crazy to think.
There's a very interesting, there's been a lot of documentaries about this, and a song by Gordon Lightfoot, The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, which is a fantastic song. Once it gets in your head, it won't leave. That they looked at the sister ship and they found some issues with that as well. So it could have been. There's like a lot of back and forth
when you think about it. Like just the shifting of cargo could have done it. It was actually eventually found 530 feet below the surface. The ship broke apart in two parts they were found 150 feet apart. And as there were no survivors among the 29 crew members, there will likely never be a definitive explanation for the sinking, unfortunately. But so that's a very unfortunate event. Let's move on to November 11th, 1921.
Okay.
Exactly 3 years after the end of World War I, the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is dedicated at Arlington Cemetery in Virginia during an Armistice Day ceremony, presided over by President Warren G. Harding. 2 days before, an unknown American who had fallen somewhere in a World War I battlefield arrived at the nation's capital from a military cemetery in France. And on Armistice Day, in the presence of the president and other government, military, and international dignitaries, the unknown soldier was buried with the highest honors beside the Memorial Amphitheater. I don't know if you've ever been there before, but it's quite a moving, very moving.
I've seen pictures and video, but I haven't been there yet.
Yeah, it's and we're going to get to a little bit later. I believe I have about the sentinels who watch over.
Yes,
this is a little bit of a longer one. I apologize, but
go for it.
So let's see. So as the soldier was lowered to his final resting place, a 2-inch layer of soil brought from France was placed below his coffin so that he might rest forever atop the earth on which he died. It's considered one of the most hallowed graves at Arlington Cemetery. The tomb itself was designed by sculptor Thomas Hudson Jones and was not completed until 1932, when it was unveiled, bearing the description, "Here rests in honored glory an American soldier known but to God." The World War I unknown was later joined by the unidentified remains of soldiers from other major American wars in the 20th century. And that actually happened. The caskets of World War II and Korean War unknowns arrived in Washington May 28, 1958. And also in 1998, a Vietnam War unknown who was buried at the tomb for 14 years was actually disinterred from the tomb after DNA testing identified him as Air Force Lieutenant Michael Blassie, and he was returned to his hometown of St. Louis, Missouri, and was buried with military honors, including an F-15 jet missing man flyover and a lone bugler sounding taps. So the U.S. Army Regiment entrusted with tending to and guarding not just the tomb, but the coordination and execution of all burials that take place in Arlington falls to the 3rd Infantry, affectionately known as the Old Guard. For those who select few that answer this call, it's their responsibility that's taken with the utmost grace. For those in training to become full-fledged sentinels, the rigors are many. From 5 to 5:30 a.m., there's a daily inspection of living quarters, after which the prospects themselves are evaluated, and uniforms are inspected with a fine-tooth comb to ensure that the garment is immaculate, down to the prescribed distances between medals and other parts of the uniform jacket. It's very interesting. Since April 6, 1948, the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier has been guarded 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, with zero exception.
Wow.
Every hour during winter and every half hour during the summer. One guard relieves another from their post in a ceremony with the precision of a Swiss watch, they say.
Yep.
And while on duty, the tomb sentinel marches 21 steps across a black mat, passing the grave markers of each of the unknown. He then turns 90 degrees and faces east for exactly 21 seconds. So it's all basically almost like a 21 gun salute, but it's in seconds and everything. So that, and if you've ever been there, the sentinels will let you know how they feel if they hear you talking. And like I remember being there, and they were like, "Silence is required in the amphitheater area," and they take it seriously.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. Let's move on. November 11th, 1978, a stuntman on the Georgia set of Dukes of Hazzard launches the show's iconic automobile, a 1969 Dodge Charger named the General Lee.
That's right.
And that they did made a makeshift dirt ramp and had them launch it over that and a police car. Yep. And that jump, which was 16 feet high and 82 feet long, made TV history. There were actually more than 300 different General Lees that appeared in the series, which ran from 1979 to 1985. The first one was the only one to play a part in every episode.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Isn't that cool?
It's pretty wild, yeah.
All right. Then, let's see. November 12th, 1799, Andrew Ellicott, an early American astronomer, witnesses, I hope I'm saying it right, the Leonids? Leonids.
Yeah.
Meteor shower from a ship off the Florida Keys.
Yeah, maybe Leonids. Yeah, I think you were right.
It's an annual event that's greatly enhanced every 33 years or so by the appearance of the comet Temple-Tuttle. I never heard of this before.
Yeah.
When the comet returns, the Leonids can produce rates of up to several thousand meteors per hour that can light up the sky on a clear night. So that's a pretty cool
it is. So,
I would love to experience that.
So when is that? April 12th?
Did I get a year?
I'm sorry, April, right. November 12th?
November 12th, 1799.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
So that's cool. Then, all right, we're going to bring it home a little bit.
All right.
On the tragic evening of November 13th, 1974, a young man shoots and kills his entire family as his parents, 2 brothers, and 2 sisters apparently sleep. The gruesome murder of the DeFeo family shakes up the sleepy Long Island town of Amityville, and leads to decades of horror storytelling. Ronald DeFeo Jr. told people that night at an Amityville bar that his parents had been shot inside his home, which was an upscale dwelling with a statue of the Virgin Mary and a sign declaring high hopes in front. Several bar patrons accompanied him back to the house, and where someone called the Suffolk County Police to report the murders. And Ronald DeFeo, who was 23 at the time, initially blamed the murders on the mob, but then confessed the next day. And these murders inspired the supernatural haunting story that led to the Amityville horror book in 1977 and the movie in 1979. But many Amityville residents dispute the haunting story and claim that the next family that moved into the house, George and Kathy Lutz, who allegedly experienced a horrifying demonic presence, made up the story as a hoax to capitalize on the tragedy.
Sure, yeah.
But who knows?
It made a movie. A iconic horror movie, actually. Yeah.
Isn't that something?
Something.
Yeah. I never been there, but...
I haven't been there either. I literally grew up, 5 minutes from there.
Oh, wow. Look at you.
Yeah, look at that.
Good restraint on your part.
Yeah, exactly.
Now we move on to November 13th, 2020. Veteran front office official Kim Eng breaks several glass ceilings simultaneously when she is named general manager of the Miami Marlins.
Oh, wow. Okay, nice.
She's the first woman and first person of East Asian descent to lead a Major League Baseball front office, as well as the first female GM in the history of North American professional men's sports. Very cool. So that's pretty cool.
Right, the Marlins.
You got that. I think there's a woman who's an assistant coach with the Seattle Kraken at the NHL. So, women are making their way in there.
Marlins, that was the first one of the first expansion teams, right? When they did the expansion? I think it was.
Was that? Well, they came in like 90.
It was one of the first, something. I think.
Is that when they expanded?
Yeah, it was the Marlins. It was the the Arizona Rockies, right? Yeah, Arizona.
Diamondbacks came later.
Came later. Yeah,
they and there was another one that came later. Yeah.
Isn't it wild that? Well, at least for me, I don't know about for you. Yeah, for you too. that, Major League Baseball, there were only a certain amount of teams.
Yeah.
And like some of the teams that people follow now, the youngins today follow, did not exist.
No.
And I remember when they started adding teams, it was a big deal. It was crazy.
I mean, I feel like the Blue Jays were around since like the 70s.
Yeah.
And like there must have been like 2 or 3.
I definitely remember the Marlins when because I loved the logo.
Yeah, the hat was with the teal.
And I have one.
Type
I have
thing.
one at home. And I bought one right away. That was very cool.
Yeah, that's a cool one.
Neat.
The original one.
The original one.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, November 14th, 1776, the St. James Chronicle of London carries an item announcing, quote, the very identical Dr. Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, whom Lord Chatham so much caressed and used to say he was proud in calling his friend, is now at the head of the rebellion in North America.
The head of the rebellion.
The head of the rebellion. Sounds like Star Wars or something.
It's wild. Yeah.
Franklin served in London as Pennsylvania's agent in 1764, where he lobbied for the placement of the colony under direct royal control. He soon added Georgia, New Jersey, and Massachusetts to the list of colonies for which he served as spokesperson in the Parliament. But in 1775, he returned to America as the American Revolution approached. And in 1776, he served as a delegate to the Continental Congress. And then in 1776, of course, signed the Declaration of Independence. Yeah. Ironically, his son William came out on the side of the British during the War of Independence and was imprisoned while serving as the Loyalist governor of New Jersey.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. That's something else.
I see you're learning something new here on the podcast.
And we like to thank History.com for all this information, of course.
Is a great site.
Just so you know, History.com, fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move on to November 14th, 1969. This is one of my favorite ones because it has to do with moon landings.
Okay.
So Apollo 12, the second manned mission to the surface of the moon, is launched from Cape Canaveral with astronauts Pete Conrad, Richard Gordon, and Alan Bean aboard.
Okay.
President Richard Nixon viewed the liftoff from Pad A at Cape Canaveral, and he was the first president to attend the liftoff of a manned space flight, which surprised me. You would have thought that for Apollo 11, which was the first one, he didn't go, I guess. I don't know.
All right, cool.
36 seconds after takeoff, though, lightning struck the ascending Saturn V launch rocket, which tripped the circuit breakers in the command module and caused a power failure.
Oh, my goodness.
Fortunately, though, the launching rocket continued up normally, and within a few minutes, power was restored to the spacecraft.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that I only learned within like the last year or two.
Wow.
I know, I was shocked by that.
They don't get a movie for that. It's just a little tiny thing.
Well, you know what? It was such a quick thing that it's like, okay, it's over. Movie's done.
I think it's interesting, though, because you would think that they wouldn't launch in a situation where there was a chance of lightning.
I know, you would have thought, but I guess that maybe it was just something they thought, oh, we'll get through real quick.
Yeah.
And it just like happened, I guess.
Wow.
It's wild.
Cool.
November 15th, 2001, Microsoft releases the Xbox gaming console.
Oh, Xbox.
Microsoft CEO Bill Gates first decided to venture into the video gaming market because he feared that game consoles would soon compete with personal computers. Sony was already positioning its PlayStation 2 as an entertainment system meant not only for gaming, but also for playing DVDs, music, and other media. And in order to rise to the challenge, Microsoft designed the first ever gaming system to use PC technology, such as the internal hard disk drive, which is pretty cool.
Pretty neat.
The original plan was to include a dial-up modem, still a common technology at the time, but the designers opted instead to use the high-speed Ethernet cable, and a decision which would allow Xbox to set a new standard in online gaming.
Yeah.
So
amazing.
So that was 2001.
2001.
Yep. And
wow.
And I believe the first game I think it was Halo, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably.
Yeah.
Halo.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, the launch title was one of the best-selling and most celebrated games of all time.
Yeah.
Halo. And honestly, I never really played it.
No, I haven't. And I think there's isn't there like a controversy that there's like a no sequel to it for such a long time or something like that? Yeah, I forgot what it is.
Yeah, I never really got into that.
Versions or something like that, but yeah.
I played like Call of Duty, but that was about
I've not played that either.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah. I enjoy that, but never got into Halo.
Nice.
And that actually is all I got.
All right.
Yeah.
The Xbox wraps it up for us for this week in history. Well, fantastic, Jimmy. thank you so much.
Thank you.
For
Thanks for having me.
regaling us with all these wonderful information.
Of course. I look forward to the next one.
Exactly. Well, we'll definitely have you back. Thank you so much for joining us, all of you out there. And if you want to listen to older episodes or read our show notes, visit our website, mcplpodcast.com. If you go there in the upper right-hand corner, you're going to see a little magnifying glass. Click on it, type in This Week in History, and you'll be able to listen to all our This Week in Histories. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can also do that from the search bar of our channel. So definitely do that. If you like the episode, hit the like button, and please hit subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. We want to get to 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So that does it for this week. For Jim Ward, I'm Sal DiVincenzo. See you on the next show.